I think we should compete in a pageant.
You think?
Yeah.
Do you have any talent or skill?
No.
Well, maybe you can lip sync to Britney Spears.
Then I'm gonna win for sure.
What would I do?
Hmm.
What would I do? What would you do?
Yeah, what would you do in a pageant for your talent? I don't know. You can do anything. You can model. Handsome.
I have an idea.
Yeah?
I will cook.
You could cook.
Yes, I'll bring a table and I'll bring all the ingredients and I'll make a salad in 1 minute.
1 minute salad. You're the winner for sure.
In a swimsuit.
And a swimsuit. Wow, you
Yeah.
could do the dual swimsuit challenge slash talent challenge.
I'm sure they never had that before.
Well,
Who knows? I don't know.
break boundaries. Well, welcome back to another episode of Relations Pod. It's me, Tyler,
And it's me, Gabriel.
and we are so excited to have you. Today we're going to be talking about what are we talking about?
Hey, that's mine.
We're talking about sharing.
Right. Clothes specifically.
Yeah, and maybe some other things. You know, who knows where this conversation will go.
You know, with us, conversations start with A and then they end with Z. And then we ramble a little bit and then we'll go back to A. But here we are now. Thanks for watching us.
Or listening.
Yeah. Right, we're listening.
Yeah, we're dual now. So I wanted to pick your brain about sharing because I'm an only child. So
Yes.
I grew up not having to share. And you have two sisters.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting fact because I have two sisters. One is younger and one is older.
Right.
And we're both 4 years apart. And I never shared clothes with them. I mean, I
Right.
definitely shared things with them, but not clothes, even though I wanted to wear the clothes. But we never shared clothes specifically.
Right.
But since growing up, since I was a kid, I was always used to sharing things.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of hand-me-downs from your sister? Like not necessarily clothes, but like stuff for school or stuff for your room.
For sure, but what I can remember the most vividly that we shared was the computer. We just had one computer in the house and we all had to share the same computer and we had a time that we could use it because the other person was waiting.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
So you would sort of like you mark out, I get it for this time, you get it for that time, and
Yeah.
that was sort of how you would share.
For years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Especially growing up, I think we were in the height of the computer boom, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like probably instant messenger,
Yeah.
playing games, all those things. You had to cram it into the
Yeah.
time because somebody else was waiting for you.
It was a war, and then my mom decided to use the computer as well. So we had 4 people sharing
Mom!
one computer. And we have to, right? She was the one who bought the computer, so
Right.
she's the boss.
She's the boss.
Even though we hate it, but we had to share it, and it was tough.
Yeah, I grew up obviously only child, so I had a computer, never really had to share it. My parents very rarely used the computer, but I always wondered how I would navigate that. I grew up also with cousins and they had brothers and sisters, and everyone would always call me the spoiled kid because I just had no siblings to share things with.
Yeah.
So despite the fact that, you know, maybe I was spoiled for certain things, I was still given that label because only child.
Yeah.
But now, fast forward to being an adult, I love to share because I never really had to, I guess. How do you feel about sharing things now that you had to share things your whole life?
You know, for me, like you just said, since I share things throughout my whole life, for me it's normal.
Right.
I was always used to sharing anything. I mean, even sometimes food.
Yeah.
If my sister's not eating, I'm gonna eat it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So to me, it seems very normal, natural to share things.
Yeah. And of course, we share clothes and we're going to get into that. But in relationships, a lot of times people have to share a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, depending on where you're at in the stage of a relationship. And sometimes it's finances,
Yes.
sometimes it's secrets,
Responsibilities, anything, right?
Yeah.
Responsibilities or duties, or it can be anything, really.
Right. Have you ever had to like confront any issues in previous relationships about sharing? I know it's kind of
Very deep
random.
question.
Yeah, it could be deep, could be superficial.
I don't think so. Past relationships, I don't remember actually sharing much.
Something that comes to my mind is sharing friends. So
Ah,
a lot of times I would be in a relationship with someone. We would either already have friends and then meet each other's
mm,
friends, and then everyone becomes friends, or we would meet new people together and become friends. But when you're sharing a friend and you're in a relationship, especially in those early times in your relationship that you're getting to
yeah.
know each other, maybe it's not going to go great. Maybe you have hiccups or issues. What's interesting is when you share friends and then you go to those friends about your
Oh,
problems
that's not good.
in your relationship.
And then they're gonna think negatively about your partner, or they will think negatively about you.
Right. That's the problem, right? Is that they're going to have this preconceived idea of who you are, who your
Yeah.
partner is. And so if you go to them to vent or ask questions, it depends on how close they are to you or your partner. Maybe they could even tell your partner that you're coming to them about
Oh,
this
wow,
information.
that can
So,
happen.
yeah. So sharing friends, I think, can be a bit of a minefield.
It's a double-edged sword. It could
Right.
be great
Yes.
because you're gonna have friends in common, and that's incredible, but could also be
Yes.
not as good if you have a complicated relationship.
Yeah, I think in the past, my previous relationships, they were more complicated. And so I
Mm,
have a kind of negative view on sharing friends because been, turned and burned
right.
through those situations. But when, you're in a good and healthy relationship, sharing friends can be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
It adds to the relationship the fact that you have both
right,
the same friends, so you can, hang
do
out
things
with the same people.
right, do things together. You can really, it helps to also foster your relationship,
Yeah.
right? Something that I think about often is when friends come to us and they talk negatively about their partner,
Mm,
especially if we're not friends with both people in the relationship, and how sometimes we create this idea of who someone is because we're getting such a one-sided view. And
perspective.
so that also brought me back to like my past, right? I would go to my friends about a relationship and be like, "Oh, I'm, so unhappy. This is what happened. This is what happened." And then things would get better and I wouldn't tell them like, "Oh, this is great. Have
And then
you?"
your friends hate your partner no
Right.
matter what you say because now they have that story that you told them
Right.
and they have all that idea of your partner, so they won't like your partner.
Yeah, and then you don't necessarily call them up to say, "Wow, everything is so great. I'm just living life. We're
Yes.
super happy."
Yes.
You only typically go, at least for me, I would only go to talk negatively. And then when we would break up, my friends would be like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you. You finally got rid of them." I'm like, "No, what do you mean? This is horrible." And they're like, "Really? You never told me any good things." So I think that's something also, I've learned in regards to sharing friends is you don't want to ever badmouth your partner. You just
Yes.
you just can't. I mean, even with family, sometimes it can be difficult because your family then creates this
Yeah.
idea of who your partner is.
And even if you do, because you maybe need someone to talk to about your relationship, and
Yeah.
this is fine, obviously, right? It's human nature. But I mean, obviously, you want to highlight the good things as well. Don't just
Hmm.
highlight the negative parts. So
Yeah.
I think that's important.
That's the problem though, is it's like, hey, I need to vent to you about all these negative things, but I swear they're a great person. I swear I'm with the right person. I just need someone to vent to in comparison to, just checking in and always saying, oh, this is what happened. They lied, they cheated, they stole, they whatever. And then of course the person you tell is going to create the image of that person and the perception that you're giving them.
And it's natural because they're not in a relationship with them, so they
Right.
don't love them. They don't spend time with them, so they
Yeah.
don't care. And the only thing that they hear is you complaining about it.
Yes.
So they obviously are not going to be big fans of your partner if
Right.
you're bringing all those issues all the
Yep.
time.
I noticed that again with family, specifically for me, I would always kind of route my after learning that venting to friends was maybe not the best idea because they create an idea of your partner that may
Right.
not be in good correlation to who they are. I'll go to my mom, I'll go to my dad and tell them, and then your mom and dad start hating your partner.
Can never win.
You can never win. So I think it is important to be balanced and to always approach, talking negatively about your partner to friends in a very careful and thought out sort of plan, unless you don't mind that your friends or family don't like your
It
partner.
will happen if you do, but
Yeah,
whatever works for you.
whatever works for you. But on a more positive note,
Ooh.
let's talk about the things that we've shared.
Yeah, many things. Let's start with clothes, since we already mentioned. So, yes, we do share clothes, especially t-shirts, tank tops. Gym clothes, specifically gym clothes.
Yeah, pretty much anything that doesn't have a size on it that can be like or like a numerical size.
Right.
We can pretty much share. We can share, small and large shorts. You typically um, use
Where,
the small.
yeah.
I usually wear the medium, but I
No.
can I can squeeze into a small, and you can wear a medium.
Yeah, I can wear a medium. We sometimes use large. It depends. It depends on the
Yes,
vibe, on the day. The only thing we don't share is shoes because I unfortunately have a very small feet.
which is unexpected. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, we don't share shoes, which means that they're actually our biggest problem because we have way too many shoes. Whereas because we can be strategic about sharing other things, we don't have to buy as many tank tops, gym clothes, things like that. What I love about us being able to share is how quick we can pack if we want to go somewhere.
Right.
And majority of our clothes are pretty plain. I would say we both have a very simple style, very similar style. So we can literally pack a bag in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Just
And
throw some t-shirts, black and white tank tops, and that's it.
yeah,
Call it a day.
who cares what size they are because we both can fit them.
Yeah.
Another thing we can't share, unfortunately, would be hats.
Right.
Well,
So another thing about me, I have a very small head. Tiny. But we do share hats. However, if they are adjustable, we need to change back and forth.
yeah, in contrast to your smaller head, I have a massive noggin. So I usually have to do like the last one or two snaps, whereas yours is like all the way
Isn't it funny? They're completely different. They're the opposite.
opposite
You use the largest hat
for my
that you
big
can
head.
find, and I use the smallest one. It's tiny. So funny.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I know. That's just us. I wonder if other couples share as many clothes and items as we do.
Do you share clothes with your partner? You don't? What's your preference?
Maybe straight couples don't share clothes, or maybe they do.
You never know.
You never
You just
know.
never know. Maybe they share socks.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. Um, Definitely not undergarments. We share those though. It's pretty easy to
We
do.
do.
Yeah, so shopping makes it easy for us. Packing makes it easy. What are some other things that we share?
Okay, we do share food.
We do share food.
We love to
eat.
order different things and then share the food because we like to experiment different things and
Yeah.
eat
Yeah.
little pieces of everything.
Right.
So we do share food
We share food.
often. I think most people do it, right? It's a common thing. It's not unique.
Yeah. We decided early in our relationship too that we didn't need separate cars.
Yes.
So that was a way we could save money and we spend a lot of time together. So we share a car, which is kind of unusual, probably for most couples.
I have another thing that we share, and this is probably a unique thing about us, which is we share a wallet. We have one wallet
That's
with
right.
our documents and cards and everything that we need.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty smart because if you're going somewhere, you just need car keys and one wallet. You don't need multiple wallets.
Right. We realized that because we wear a lot of gym shorts that have pockets that are difficult to get things in and out of. And we had like 3 phones, 4 wallets, a bag, this and that. So condensing was a lot easier for us. But then also, too, at the same time, we started sharing finances, which
Yes.
is not for everybody. That didn't happen overnight. I think it probably happened sooner than most relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
We started splitting
Yeah.
finances like 6 to 12 months in around that time. And then now we kind of just throw it all together in a big bag.
Literally, yeah. And it's been like this since the beginning of a relationship, which is
Yeah.
interesting, right? And now, fast forward 5 years later, we'll still share the finances.
Yeah.
And we never had a problem with that. It got better over time because of dialogue and communication.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why our relationship was always so successful from the beginning, because we learned at that point that if we wanted to work together and have an incredible relationship, we needed to start sharing things, especially finances, which could be a very delicate topic for a lot of couples.
For sure.
It was never for us.
Yeah. No, I early on wanted us to both make decisions, major decisions about what we did with our money
Right.
and how we spent it. I never wanted either of us to have to ask permission to buy something.
Right.
And so those are a lot of questions I think couples, when they get to that stage, have to decide. I've heard a lot of different recommendations. Some people say you should still have a savings account that's yours, or you can put money in and spend however you want, so you don't have to approach your partner about it. Um, but we've never really needed to do that. Um, I don't know. I think that it was always kind of streamlined for us, that it made the most sense for us to just kind of both be in charge.
Yeah.
And I think it also made us more confident over time that we can trust each other, and that we're both making decisions together financially to better ourselves and better our relationship, instead of financially trying to benefit each other separately, or trying to create a career or financial goal separately. We kind of realized we would be stronger doing that all together, from the get-go.
Yeah, we have a common goal, we have a common, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly that.
That.
So, looking forward to the future, what other things do you think we'll share? I mean, at this point, we've kind of shared it all.
At this point, the only thing we don't share is, other than shoes and jeans,
I don't even know.
I guess we share everything.
We pretty much share everything. I mean, even to the point where sometimes I use your toothbrush, because our toothbrushes look the exact same. Now, we don't share toothbrushes or deodorant or any of those personal hygiene products, but we do use them from each other from time to time when we forget it, or we accidentally
It's
use
funny
the
because
wrong
they're the
one.
same color, the same brand, the same type, and sometimes it happens. We use each other's toothbrush. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we eat the same things. I know you're brushing your teeth great. You always flossing, so I'm not too concerned. But I wonder what other people would think about sharing stuff like that. That can be quite intimate and personal. But again, I feel like sometimes we are just so in sync and so similar that it doesn't even come to mind. I think you're the first guy I would ever say I've shared a toothbrush with on accident. I don't recall ever doing that, but you get to the point where you're so close with someone and you feel that connection, and that, or maybe you just don't care anymore. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Um, yeah, I wonder what people share hygiene wise beyond what we've.
Do you share other hygiene things with your partner? Tell us your experience.
Yeah, we're curious. What other things can we share that we haven't already?
What have we shared yet?
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll figure it out.
We'll definitely share it if there's something to be shared.
So beyond sharing all of the things and the items and the money and the this and that and friends, there's other things that we also share that most couples have to share as well, and that's responsibilities.
Yes.
So things like cleaning up the house, who's going to cook, who's going to get the groceries, who is going to focus on the bills, who's going to focus on whatever. And it's kind of interesting because we never really specifically said you are the person who does this and you're the person who does that. That can be super efficient and effective for a lot of relationships. We kind of always shared all of those things. No one is specifically responsible for doing our laundry or doing this or that. We kind of share all of those roles, but I do think it's interesting, and I'm not sure most people do this, but we do like to have a morning meeting as
Yes.
regularly as we can to discuss what responsibilities we have for that day and who's kind of assigned what role, and we try to balance it out as best as we can. And I think that's also due to the fact that we sort of work together. So a lot of times our business strategies kind of bleed over into our relationship. Like, oh, this works really good for
Yeah.
us and staying on task and, accomplishing our goal work related for the day. Let's try to apply that to our relationship and see how it works. And I think that's been really successful for us, being able to just communicate, because before that, we would just wake up first thing and start our own independent journey,
Yeah.
jump in the shower for me, because I like to do that first, get a coffee, this and that. And you would kind of, do your sort of routine. And then it would be 5 or 6 hours and we would be in the same house and not spoken, because we're kind of on our own path.
We work from home and we have things to do after waking up, take a shower, start working.
Yes.
But now I feel like it always started in the past year. I feel like we're even more connected in that sense.
Yeah.
We now are doing business meetings in the morning.
Business / responsibility / relationship meetings. in
Yeah,
the
we
morning.
like to write it down, all the things that we wanted to accomplish that day or that week.
Yep.
And we come to a agreement of
who does
Who?
what the time frames are. And then we usually will have a reward for ourselves too. Like we'll say, okay, after if we can accomplish everything by this time, we get to do X. Maybe that is get dessert. Maybe that is order food out. Maybe
It's
that's
always related with food. I don't know why, but we love food.
yeah,
If you don't know already, we love food. So it's the rewards for accomplishing all those things is usually food.
usually food related. But yeah, I think it's been a super effective strategy for us. I also noticed too, like in the past, because again, we would wake up and sort of just get going with our day. We wouldn't really have the time to ourselves to just be like, hey, how are things? Did you sleep good? Like just a little communication. And then 5 hours later, as stresses have piled up, maybe things that we wanted to accomplish throughout the day didn't get done, we start getting more feisty. At least me, you know me, I'm feisty.
You know, at the end of the day, work
Yes.
and tough, and that happens. It's
Yeah.
normal.
I think it just created a communication touch point for us. Like,
Yeah.
hey, first thing in the morning, let's go ahead and start it off by, being on the same page and making sure that we can accomplish the things we want to together so that by the end of the day, we're not like, oh, you didn't do this, or oh, I wanted you to do this. I thought I told you to do that. All that can be avoided because if you know me, what you do, I try to avoid arguing at all possibilities. But at the same time, I'm usually the one who starts the argument because I'm the most feisty, which is true. I take it, I own it. This has been my life journey.
Kudos to you, Mama. Kudos for spilling.
Exactly. So for me, it was an effective way to communicate with you and avoid any sort of hiccups that could happen, throughout the day. And I think it's been helpful.
Going back to communication, we always say that, but communication is key to
Yeah.
have a great relationship.
And some people would probably say we're insane because we wake up first thing and we're going to have a meeting, which is true. Maybe we are insane, but I think over time we always are sharing the same interest in
Yeah.
wanting to better our relationship, right? Wanting to avoid any potential argument that it could occur, especially if it's over something like who put the dishes away or did we complete that task we needed to do for work.
Because sometimes arguments start with those small
Yes.
issues, right? Those things as like it could be simple as who didn't do the dishes or who was supposed to do the laundry. So it's important to have those things established or at least talked about it. That way you're not fighting over coffee or
Exactly.
something very small.
Yeah, for me, those little annoyances are not the pivot to the argument. It's more like I bank them and then my anger meter just gets higher and higher. And before you know it, it's like there's some dead grass in the yard. And why is that there? What is happening? And I melt down like a child, but I'm working on it.
No, it's a work in progress. We
Yeah.
will be perfect. There's always gonna have, things
Yes.
here and there.
Yes.
That's another thing important to point out is that a healthy relationship is not a relationship that has no arguments.
Right.
It's not a relationship that has no issues between partners. It's a relationship that both parties they understand and they work together towards, getting better and having less arguments maybe.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're supposed to argue. We will always argue over something. I'm always going to get annoyed. You're going to get annoyed. But trying to avoid the repeated cycle of arguments that happen regularly over the same thing is something that you can easily target and try to create a plan around.
Yeah.
When we were on our, and I think that's great. Getting up and getting going and getting on your path and getting your day started, especially if you don't work together, is very normal and very effective to just get on with your life. But for us, I noticed that was a trigger, is
Yeah.
that we weren't communicating, especially because we're in the same house. So, so that was a way for me to say, hey, let's see if this helps. Let's see if this works. And it did. And we don't have a meeting every morning, but we started consistently. And now, we have them occasionally and try to check in and realize the more we check in with each other, even, when we're right next to each
Yeah.
other, it really will reduce the friction between us and allow us to, avoid silly arguments that can sometimes lead to bigger arguments.
Yeah. So sharing clothing, sharing tasks. In past relationships, did you share any of those things?
No. So previously when I would be in relationships, we never shared clothes. We never got to that point. Even when I was like pretty much staying with them or they were staying with me on a regular basis, it was very much separate. It was
Yeah.
very, I've always unfortunately been in relationships with people who were wanted things to be very separated. For me, that's unfortunate. For some people, that works great. I like to kind of join in and create a sense of us instead of me
Me and
and
you.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or me and you. And everyone's different. You have to do what works best for you. But I was always longing for that type of a relationship. So I never was in an experience where we shared clothes, which is the silliest thing, but certainly never shared finances
Right.
ever. That was not even an option in my head or a thought because we never even were close to trusting each other on that sort of superficial level beyond being able to be responsible for each
Wow.
other's,
Even in long
right.
relationships, you'd never share your finances before.
No, it was always like if we were gonna pay for each other, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I got you this time, you can get
Wow.
me
Yeah.
next time, which is great and that's fine, especially early in a relationship. And some people really want to keep things separate. It works really well for them. I don't want to, talk negatively about what works for different people
We're not
because
giving advice.
we're not giving advice. And I think if anyone is listening to this, what I wanted them to take from this is you can find the relationship you're looking for. I never knew that I could find another guy that I
Oh.
could share clothes with, that I could share finances with, share all my secrets with, share my hopes, all of those things and not feel judged or as though I'd be taken advantage of,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I'd be submissive to the other person by being vulnerable. So all those thoughts always prevented me from wanting or thinking it was possible. And maybe someone listening to this has been told, oh, you can never be in a relationship where you share everything. You can't trust them. You have to be independent on your own. And that's great if that's what you want. But there is other options. There are people out there who are going to want to share things with you, create a life together. Because if we can find each other from thousands of miles
Yeah.
apart and
Different cultures and backgrounds, and we
yeah,
share literally everything.
yeah,
So yeah, there's someone there that will love to share things with you.
yeah. So keep
Or not if you don't like to share things. So whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, just knowing that the options for you are not limited. I
Right.
think growing up queer, we think just, especially me, take what you can get. Especially
Right.
I grew up in North Florida, a large city with a low queer population. I didn't think I had any other options. And so I always sort of just sat with what I had
Yeah.
instead of dreaming or thinking that things could get better or I could create a relationship that I wanted and that would look great for me and my partner together. It is possible. It just takes a little bit of work and a little bit of search.
Some search.
Yeah, and communication. You can find all of these things out very early in a relationship like we did. I feel like we had already started to set this path forward
Yes.
like 3 to 6 months in, and maybe that's crazy for some people, but if you're being yourself and you're letting that other person know how you feel and what you want, then the only risk is that maybe you feel foolish, but you're not a fool for telling someone how you feel and what you want.
Absolutely. If
Yeah.
you allow yourself to be yourself and say what you're thinking and tell your partner your goals, they will definitely feel more comfortable as well. Maybe there's a
Mhm.
barrier, right? That you're not crossing because you're not being 100% you,
Mhm.
and he or she's not being 100% them as well.
Yep.
So break that wall.
Yeah, I think it's funny too because when we had first started dating, we were both sort of like, I want to be single for now. And so we
Yes.
had this idea that like, hey, this is what I want. This is what it looks like.
Otherwise, we're not wasting our times.
Yeah, does this sound like something you're
Yeah.
interested in? Is this who you are? We were very upfront with that. And so I think our sort of frustration with wanting to be done dating actually ended up
Yes.
helping us in a
Yes.
way. So if that's you too, enjoy that. Be frustrated. Say you're over it. Say you want to take some time away because it's probably the time you're going to find someone.
That's true. When you're not looking for a partner, you most likely are going to find a partner.
Yeah.
Or at
Just
least
like
someone that,
everything.
yes.
It always shows up when you're least expecting it.
Yes.
So, you know.
Beautiful words.
But yeah, so what do you share in your relationship? What are you interested in sharing? What do you think should be separate? I love to hear what other people
Yes.
think, what works best for them in their relationship. So please, we would love to hear what works best in your relationship or what type of relationship you want.
And what else can we share?
Yeah.
If there's anything else that can we share, but
Keep it
Maybe.
PG.
Yes, please. This
um,
is,
it can get a little carried away with what you just
yeah,
share.
yeah. Be careful with the comments, okay?
But we hope you enjoyed this video where we got to reflect on some of the things that we share and sharing our journey with you. It's always really fun to be able for us to kind of share our relationship. I think growing up, I had very little representation of what
Yes.
a healthy and happy relationship looked like. So this is our version. This is what it looks like for us. So tell us what you think. Maybe leave us a comment below if you
Share the
haven't.
video maybe,
Yeah,
or
like
like,
it,
subscribe if
all
you
those
haven't
things.
yet. All the good things.
All those things you're supposed to do on YouTube. But we hope that you follow along for our next video next week. But until then,
See you next time.
see you next time. I wonder if most relationships or people in relationships out there share their passwords. Or
No.
no.
We share ours.